Spousal homicide in Nigeria appears to be on the increase over the years, sparking psychological, criminological, and health concerns. Even when research on family violence has been on the increase, it seems the most demonic and severe one, which is the killing of spouse, has never had serious attention. And we should be actually concerned because it is really killing our societal values and morals. Our in-house experts today, as usual, will be helping us understand the signs and how to best mitigate these dangerous occurrences in our society. I welcome you to Voicetv Nigeria, the gender-based violence program, and we ask you to subscribe and touch our like buttons so you get notified of our future episodes and other programs. Welcome once again, as I welcome the two wonderful experts who had actually helped us these past few weeks to understand how best to raise a family and how best to have a wonderful society. Miss Funke Felicia Obafemi, you're welcome again, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And like I always say, the man of the moment who refused to stop knocking the door of our government institutions. So to prick their mind and redirect their focus to what is really happening as it concerns our people, our children, and our family. Mr. Lemmy Okwegbe, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
When at the back, when you first told me we'll be talking about spousal killing in our society, it was confusing because I thought violence domestically, but now you're taking me and you compartmentalized it and made it that there is a particular thing that is happening that we probably is a thin line, like they say love and hate, but this one is something deep. And please tell us how spousal killings, ma, Miss Funke.
Okay. we- Thank you once again. I would like to start from the understanding of the concept that we're talking about today, which is curbing gender-based violence through anger management. Okay, so what is anger? So there's a lot of myth. There are a lot of myths around anger, and people usually think anger is the outburst, the reactional part of people's emotion. But I think we need to bring it home to letting us know that anger is an emotion, just like the way you just wake up and say, I'm hungry. So it's part of us. Everybody has it. And anger, so it's an emotion, and it comes in different form. It's been expressed in different ways. So, but the thing is, in this part of the world, we usually see the aggressive part of anger as the definition of anger, which is not correct. So anger is an emotion, something that you feel. Maybe you feel you're offended by a particular event, and then some persons try to go about coming from the angle of revenge. Okay, so I want to pay you back in the coin and all of that. And so we see that as the only definition of anger, but that is not it at all. Anger is an emotion. You have it, I have it, he has it. Everybody has it.
Basically, you're saying anger should be accepted, though we should learn how to manage it so we don't cross the line.
Yeah.
Sir, anger and spousal killings. How that it's confusing, but it's something you must educate us on.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of fights, a lot of violence that end up leading to even a spouse killing another spouse is as a result of anger and the mismanagement of that anger.
Yeah.
You can be angry and yet show your anger in a different way. It mustn't be violent. Anger is not necessarily violence. Anger is a state of displeasure, a state of utter dismay about maybe something that the other person has done. So, but how do you show it? As humans, we need to elevate our emotions to a level where we can still be in control of it. Remember those days when traditionally, when young men go home and tell their father they want to get married, there are tests their fathers take them through.
Mm.
Okay? Even daughters, when the girls get to a certain age and they say they want to get married, there are tests too that their mother or their mother and father will take them through to be sure that you have developed yourself emotionally beyond the physical development, the emotional development. Because, of course, the idea of two people from different background, different social cultural configuration coming, values are different, left,
Mm-hmm.
right, center. So you see something and you are aghast that this person has done so thing. Okay, and that's where you talk about culture shock. Okay, for instance, you go marry a woman, let's say a young lady from the north, and you marry her, you are from, let's say, Bendel, Delta, Edo. Our tradition is different from the tradition of the north. The woman, no matter how desperately she wants that last drop from the glass, from the bottle, she mustn't pour the last drop. Tradition says it is the man. Tradition says it is also the oldest, even among men. You dare not empty it, isn't it? These are our culture and tradition. Yes, we are evolving. Some of those things no longer mean anything. For instance, the tradition that says it's the man that eats the gizzard of the chicken. I hope we're aware of that. Then you have a man who is really traditional, fully in his mold.
Even the
He
head of
now
the chicken,
comes back and they've not served him
the
the
gizzard
gizzard,
at the head of the
and
chicken.
somebody else has eaten it. It's war. Okay? So different things trigger anger.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that as angry as you are or you get, one of the first things we were taught is, first of all, if you cannot control it, walk away. Take a walk, take a long walk. When you return, you must have simmered. The anger would have simmered, then you begin to maybe interrogate that thing, cause of your anger, in a better way, in a more subtle way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But most times, when that thing that really gets to your bad side happens, we take it up. And the language that will come from your mouth to your spouse is such that even if your spouse was to be sorry, will not be sorry because
Awesome.
you have used a kind of language that whatever the how serious the gizzard is not as serious as the language you have used.
Like
True.
using the hammer to kill a
So
dog.
at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
she's not subtle also. So it's like you are no longer rational because anger takes away your rationality if you are not careful.
Mm-hmm.
So she now gives you like her response because she's also offended by what you have said, and now you have said it. If you had been subtle, it would have been different. It now is like her response is fire, petrol to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Before you know, fisticuff starts. Before you know, somebody picks a pestle or whatever and hits the one each other. Before you know, death has occurred. So it's really a terrible situation. Like she said, anger is a normal part of human existence. Don't believe it if they say he never gets angry. It's not true.
Mm-mm.
He has only grown to a point where he
Manages.
masters his nerves. That he's angry. He will even smile. You will never know. I have friends that when they smile, I know that wahala don't they. Do you understand?
And he's
So
smiling.
yes, he's smiling. It is that time that he's smiling very well that the anger is even at its peak. But they've learned to manage it. There is no human being on earth that does not have anger in him. So it's an emotion that shows you are human. But again, to be human is also to master that anger in a way that you can address whatever has offended you without resorting to violence.
Mom, he actually has laid the foundation
Solidly.
solidly, and he said anger is an emotion naturally expressed. The question now is, walk us through those signs between spouses that can lead to that. I don't know. Can we equate anger to provocation, or provocation be an advanced level of anger? I don't know how to marry the two. So walk us through as an expert. Where do we grow from, rather than having a normal conversation, to now those things that trigger the anger to provocation, and at the end of it all, the worst that we don't even want, killing.
Okay, so I'll start from the angle of spouse understanding each other. Mr. Lemmy did a good foundation there. I like the fact that he pointed the way we respond now, the way we react actually, because one of the ways of curbing anger is you respond, you don't react. But most times we react, we
Rather
don't
than
respond.
respond.
Okay, so anger, it doesn't just come up like that. There are triggers to anger, and then one of the triggers that is everywhere is stress. Once you're mentally stressed, you can get angry. Yes, and stress is also a part of us that we cannot do without. Yes, every day when we wake up, a normal human being, you cannot survive without being stressed a little. You must go through a level of stress every day. So I leave my bed, I go to the bathroom, I took my bath, and I dashed out. That period
Movement.
of moving it can be stressful for
It's
some persons.
inconvenience.
Yes.
The tap you open in the bathroom didn't flow, or is slower than, and your meeting is coming up. Stress has started.
Stress, yes. And there are some situations that you don't have control over. There are some situations that you cannot just but try to manage
Yes, ma'am.
because they are beyond you. So anything you cannot do within yourself is beyond you. Anything that has to do with another person is beyond you. Within yourself, you can contain some things and work on them. So one of the major signal of anger is stress. Once you're mentally stressed, financially stressed,
That's the crazy part.
once you're financially stressed and you're psychologically stressed, you're emotionally stressed, all of this can come together to make you get angry at the slightest provocation. So we need to look at that. And also another level is failed expectation, which happens between spouses. So you have an expectation of your spouse, and he or she is not meeting up, and you feel like, for 10 years you've been living with me, you don't know this part of me and all of these things. What I would do for to you as a man in the office, and you will like, Funke, you know what is, I just, once your wife is the person doing it to you, you just get, what do you mean? Why would you do that? Why? Because you have an expectation from your wife that she should know and she should be able to work with. So we have a lot of them. We have worries, anxiety, fear can trigger,
Even
anger.
that.
Yes, it can trigger anger. Once you are afraid, you don't know the next thing, you don't know the next moment or the next event that will happen. Some people are just afraid, fear of the unknown. They don't even know what will happen, but they're just afraid. All of this can trigger fear. So even with us as children, as parents to children, your child is going towards something harmful. The reason why you are shouting or yelling is not because of the love, it's because of the fear of what will
The
happen if,
consequence of
yes,
that action.
yes, the fear of what will happen to my child.
The financial consequence.
I'm telling you from your pocket,
Because
how you feel it from your pocket. So all of this, if you look at them, they are signs and triggers to anger, especially in Nigeria. One major cause of anger in our country now is failed expectation and stress. People are financially stressed, emotionally stressed, and they have a lot of expectations that are not being met by the government.
Okay.
so
Sorry.
I actually wanted to
Okay.
help. I will
Okay.
plead with you that while you say what you want to say, I would love you to hammer, because she mentioned the second point she mentioned touched nerve. She said failed expectations. What is it about expectations and relationship? Because usually we thought our parents, they would tell us we got married, we only got to know each other the day they said this is your young man has come for your hand, and they live wonderfully well. 40 years, 60 years, 70 years. These days, our jet age, expectations and anger. What did we get wrong, sir?
Okay. You want us to draw the comparison from those times? It will
We
be,
need it.
it will be a tall order,
Yeah, true.
because again, the value
The
set then
clients.
is not
Yeah.
the same value set now.
Yeah.
Yes,
In those days,
yes, sir.
when our radio gets spoiled, we fix.
Fix
In this generation,
another
when
one.
our radio has a slight challenge, we throw away and buy a new radio.
No time.
That act alone demonstrates the difference between that generation and this generation.
Hmm.
That generation was a generation that was deep in, we'll fix it. This generation is a microwave generation
They just want
of let's
it.
just throw it away. A lot of times, and that's why clinical psychologists, counselors dealing with spousal disputes would sometimes the relationship is at the brink where okay they have to go separate
Separate
ways and
ways.
all that. And a psychologist says, okay, can you just commit to the next 6 months of you trying to be the way you were before you convinced her to marry you? And you, before you said I do, can you also be like you were when you people were courting?
Is it taking a walk back? How do we because I'm
No, it's
trying to
not.
be
The way you
practicing
were
it.
is those things you did when
Okay.
you people were still doing window shopping, when he was knocking on the door and you were at your best. Because 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 they say familiarity leads to contempt.
Yes.
There are lots of things that people did in courtship that they did not take into their
Marriage.
marital relationship. And those things that they did were things that excited each other,
The other
that
person.
made them say, if not be you, Koba Keva Serigia.
Serigia,
Eh?
Nobody wants
You
it.
know,
Nobody wants it well now.
we used to, it used to be like
Something
that.
that excited.
But most people do not take in that part of them into their marital relationship. They used to take the lady out often then.
Okay.
But all of a sudden, 3 years, 4 years, and he has not even say, let me take you to a
Is
garden.
that cultural?
Let me take
Is
you.
that
No, it's
religion?
not. It's not. It's certainly not cultural.
What
A lot of
happened?
pressure has come to bear. Survival ain't easy.
Yeah.
In the days of our parents, one of them, particularly our mothers, will be asked to stay home. Okay, in that time, it wasn't about they resolved that mothers should stay home. It wasn't a two-way a discussion. It was
It's
Oh,
just
given.
it was just a given.
so I
Okay,
hope you're not shaking the table of the feminists.
no, we are trying to capture what it was like then. It doesn't mean it's an endorsement by us, but we need to understand where the rain started beating us in
Yes.
order to make
get it
amends.
right.
Today's man cannot even meet up the burden of carrying a family. So
Alone.
needs, yes, alone. So of course needs a spouse as a helpmate. Okay. But as we talk about it, sometimes when they say, okay, let's commit to 6 months together with us trying to be the best of us, do you know within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they are beginning to change again? No, I'm not divorcing. We can make this work. It changes. That's one part of it. Then there are relationships that are actually totally toxic and irredeemable. You also, as a counselor or as an advisor, look at it and you know that this one, it will lead to what? Spousal death, spousal killing. You two will be honest by God and by man to say, this is the danger signals I see. Daily Trust newspaper in year 2019 did an expose and said about 300 spouses had been killed in the last 2 or 3 years at that time that they did that thing. Of course, more of men killing women, but they did an expose. I need to
And that was
bring
really
it out.
within their own sample.
Yes, within their own sample. And it's as serious as that, sometimes for very little reason. A lot of it, if they commit to seeing a shrink, a psychologist, a counselor, there is no shame, because we need to take away all the stigma and the myth about it. There's no shame in saying I need help. There's no shame in saying I need help. As a matter of fact, as Shakespeare said, it is better to lose our ego because of the people we love than to lose people we love because of our ego. So there's no shame in it. We need to begin to open the minds up of Nigerians to understand that nobody is enough in itself.
True.
There are little demons all around each of us. All of us have our little demons. It is how we have been honest, one, to admit that, yes, this is a bad part of my life. What can I do about it? Okay? Management or mismanagement of anger can destroy or make people. Relationships are falling because of mismanagement, but we can manage whatever the situation is if we are honest to ourselves and we handle it well. What's it called? A gentle answer turneth away wrath. There's a way that you will address that your disappointment failed expectation with your spouse, and your spouse will look at it in a positive way. I want to meet up. For instance, you see some men say this was not how you were dressing in those days. At least you wear your lingerie and all that. Now you want to tie wrapper like Mama Nkechi or Mama Ngozi or whatever. No. Okay. So these are expectations, but the way you threw it at the woman will make her to decide whether to react positively or to react negatively. Sometimes, yes, you want that fine, whatever. You go buy it and slip it in with some bar of chocolate, and you see, change the lights and see it. Look, again, part of how to manage anger also is the other person also having a bit of wisdom to know that, look, in the other room, is a major place where I have my strength. Okay? And at that point, look, there is no man that cannot be conquered in the other room.
Can you say that again?
There is no man that cannot be conquered in the other room. So a woman too needs to learn emotional intelligence and the skill in a way to know that, okay, this man is angry and going crazy here. Let me move him to the terrain where he cannot continue with the anger. He will keep quiet. That can you.
Now we have now turned to the chick and the maze. I almost put off the mic, but I'll allow education prevail. Ma'am, you mentioned some interesting, as comic as they sound, they were really sound advice and pointers. Ma'am, field expectation again.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to. How can communication better be managed, the process? Because basically it's about language.
Yeah.
And it's about gesture. What can we do to use proper languages? How do we, parents these days, because what he said, the morality being eroded presently. How do we go back to using proper polite language? One. Two, how better, rather than, because here we are afraid of shrink. When you mention shrink, do you know who we see as shrink as Nigerians? Basically, our clerics, who actually are just meant to give us reminders of the belief system in our faith. Now we've turned them to be our shrink. Imagine the same cleric does not like your spouse. What better advice would they give? That's the problem. And three, he mentioned the shame. We don't know that there are psychological effects. We only say it on paper. People don't understand what psychological effect is, what criminological consequence of certain actions have, and what the health repercussions are. Please, while you're explaining communication, help us touch how these processes get to the worst and now get to the killings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lemmy. That was very funny. But I just want to say that not all cases can be resolved in the other room. Okay.
We will not
All
even
right.
go there now.
Yeah, I'll look at communication. It mentioned how you talk about some certain things that you're not happy about, or you find discomforting. Now we'll talk about assertive communication. What is assertive communication? You're being able to express how you feel without touching the ego of the other person.
That's a thin line, ma'am.
Yes. So, but now people want to touch you. I want you to know how I feel, how I'm feeling, or how I felt about what you did to me. So I'm going. There's a language I used to use that I'll change them for you. I don't know.
Yes.
There's this language of I'll speak my mind.
I
I will speak my church. Some people say my church mind. Okay. And then sometimes those minds, those stuff are not really helping. The situation. So you need to be assertive in your communication by employing using the empathy skill. You have to come to a place where you put yourself in the shoe of the person you want to talk to, or you want to address, or you want to communicate with. Now, some of us come from the angle of aggression. We come from the angle of confrontation. Another thing I also want to mention is you need to know your spouse enough. You need to be able to know the kind of man or woman you have married. Some of us are good at receiving criticism just the way it comes. Some of us, you don't even talk to me in a way that you mention my parents or you mention what I did last minute and all of that. So
It's a
self-awareness,
defense mechanism.
yes, self-awareness is very key. First for yourself, and then people awareness, knowing your spouse. What are the issues with my spouse, or what are the areas I need to work on,
Improve on.
improve on, to be able to have, a meaningful conversation with my spouse. For example, some people cannot settle disputes the day that it happened. Like, they don't talk about it. They let it slide, and then the next morning they wake themselves up. Babe, come, let's talk about this. And they are good. For some persons, no, we have to finish that conversation that day. We cannot sleep over it. So it's different. The way
Different
we,
brush with different
yes,
stroke.
yes, the way we attend to these issues are different based on our understanding, based on our mutual agreement as husbands and wife. So assertive communication is key. Another thing is responding, how to respond to your spouse. Like you mentioned, there are ways we talk to our spouses that triggers the anger in them. So I also noticed that there's this traditional ideological masculinity of men that, yes, there's this way men are being said, you can't talk to me like this, you can't talk to me like that, don't you know I'm the head? By the time you start announcing that you are the head, you have lost it. We know you are the head, don't announce it. Yes. So
And
when
you
you
are the neck.
yes, so you don't need to let us know who you are. We know who you are. So we need to
So, are
come
you
to
for us or for them
Eh?
for
at this
We
juncture?
are gender
No,
advocates. We are
at
for
this point,
everybody.
because
And for everybody and
no
for
my people
nobody.
are
nobody.
telepathically sending me a message that I should ask: are you for us or for them?
We are
That's
for
one.
gender balance,
Yes,
gender
Yes,
yes, sir.
equity.
Yes,
We
sir.
are
yes,
for family to function
yes,
Function
well.
as
yes.
There
one.
are too many dysfunctional
True.
family, and it is as a result of a lot of ego tripping and lack of management of each
Mm-hmm.
other.
Mm-hmm.
If the man is the head, if he's doing his bit, he doesn't need to say, "Don't you know I'm the head?" A woman will naturally
Submit.
respect a man who is playing his role well. Okay. I've seen cases in recent time where the woman is living herself silly, going up and down. The man is like just a loafer, will spend most times at home, not doing anything. And this woman is breaking her back to make sure that
The
kids who
family
are in the
function.
private university, she's taking care of everything. And the man who is home expects her to come back home and come and cook. Let me tell you the truth, as I am, when I notice that my spouse is terribly stressed, and I love the kitchen anyway, but I don't make it a habit of going to the kitchen regularly.
Oh, your
But
tradition.
when I notice that we have those who cook,
I get you, sir.
okay, because of course I should also reduce her burden.
Mm-hmm.
My wife doesn't have to go around serving me and all that. Maybe weekends when she's available and she feels like doing it fine. I know how to go to the kitchen and take care of myself.
Oh.
So, but you know what? I would prepare a special meal when I know she's gone all over the place and all. I'll prepare it and serve her. Do you know the wonders it does? Do you know the magic? It's therapeutic. Then it shows that you appreciate her.
True.
But this man is waiting for the woman who has been gone for 1 week. She has not sat down, trying to pick what should be his bills. And yet, he doesn't think that he should even make tea and bread for her. That is not being a man. A man has to be wise enough that when God has, maybe the situation has changed and the woman is the one doing all the running around and all, at that point in time, he needs to compliment her effort
Appreciate
by
it.
saying, "I appreciate you, I value you. What would you like to have for dinner?" It doesn't reduce the man, it actually increases the man. And in all ramification,
See,
when your spouse, your wife is at peace at that level, forget it. Oh, you are invincible. None can touch you.
True.
ma'am, what is it with Mr. Lemmy giving our secret out? Here's this.
Mr.
I,
Yemi is just being truthful.
at this juncture, I think I need help from my brothers out there. The numbers you're seeing on the screen, please do call in. And like I said, each time I sit with them, I learn a lot. I open my mind to knowing those little things I took for granted, that actually have been taken for granted, to understand that they are the things that hurt our spouses, our partners, and our society. And mom, he mentioned again communication, field expectation. What is it with spouses expecting, putting a timeline to what they feel, probably when they think you should have a car, or they think you should have a house, and display some misguided anger
And perhaps comparing you to the
to
other
somebody else,
friend's husband.
which is
Yeah.
usually reducing, how do
Yeah.
we put it? Well, how do we get out of that in our
Okay.
minds and help the family grow?
I'll start by saying that I think the measure of how we measure success in this part of the world is wrong. Now, some people have their mentality that until I have a car, build a house, all of that, then I'm not a successful person, all of that. No, success is not measured in that with that balance. Now, I want to come from the angle of being a man too. As a man, you being the head of the house or being the husband is not by role. A lot of men have subjected their essence to role, the role of a man. Now, like you said, in the past, women don't work. They just go to farm, get the food, and come to cook and all of that. But now we go out to work with men, to compete with men in the field and come back home. It has changed. The times have changed. So men should learn to change with the time too. Okay? Now, making it easy for what? Cohabiting.
Cohabiting.
Now, success is not measured by what a man has or what a woman has. It is measured by how you have, put success before you. So for me, success could be if I've ensured that at least 1,000 women or 5,000 women are out of violence this year. If I can attain that, for me, woo, I'm the most successful woman for that year. You understand? So success is measured basically, by how we desire to measure success. Now, going back to um, comparison. Now, by the time husband and wife agree together to work as one, there won't be need for comparing my spouse with another. There's something special about him that I couldn't find in any other person that I
Yes, true.
submitted to marrying him. Same for the woman. So, and we grow every day. So it is when you refuse to put something in your marriage box that you begin to find it out there. So if both of us are committed to ensuring that we grow that marriage, I won't be seeing a better man or a better woman out there. Rather, I will make who I have a better person that I want to keep saying every day. So I think it boils down to what we agree on. How are we holding the family institution together? Your understanding of how you want your marriage to work also has a lot to do with curbing, gender violence. I also want to mention the fact that I want to mention the recent issue that we had, the recent case that came up of the Adenike, is it Adenike or
Yeah.
Lanike, yeah. And it's a very pathetic one. May God rest her soul.
Also,
But look at it, it's a simple thing. Honestly, for me, having known that my spouse is prone to this kind of behavior or attitude, you understand, I put myself in a safe space. Now, if the man is so aggressive, I'm not
justifying
justifying
but
that
just
act. Oh,
trying to see
I'm
how
just
we
trying
would
to
have
see how we
made
can.
two people be alive today
Yes,
rather than losing one person.
as a man, on a good day, he went to where you kept the money, broke the safe, and took the money away. It's wrong. It's not allowed. You should ask her, my wife, I have a challenge. I need so and so.
The story says that he asked. He asked.
Okay.
She said she didn't have money. Then
Now
the
found out the
daughter
money.
was the one who said daddy. He now showed daddy the
It is
money
safe.
and saw daddy picking. The daughter now went back to mommy and said, daddy is taking your money. Oh." So
Again, what are we
daddy,
teaching our children?
daddy now, mom now say drop the money,
Oh, you
and
hadn't
that
even
was
gone out with
it.
the money.
No, he hadn't gone out with that money that led to that
See, the
wahala.
question now
So
is,
bringing this together now, I don't know.
what do we
I
teach our children
believe.
actually for one?
Adenike was a banker with Central Bank of Nigeria.
Oh,
What
I
is the
thought they say
problem?
World Bank.
Is it World Bank?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think they
okay,
say she
okay.
works with
Yeah, World Bank.
World
Sorry.
Bank.
And they couldn't communicate at that level with
Do,
the
do you
education they
get?
have.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So now, if we're not judging their case right
Nobody
now,
is.
right?
Nobody is.
But I just want to bring it to bear that in a marriage that is balanced, my money is your money, your money is my money. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't be having a safe that you're not aware of
Yeah,
in a place
with the
where,
codes,
yes,
everything.
in the place where marriage is being held as an institution.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we need to come to that place. So many men don't even want to let their wife know how much they're earning, and you can't
See,
blame
not
them
much.
because by the time they know, they keep demanding until everything is.
But if we should demand from,
There is
who should demand from, if not her man? Again, nobody is saying on the man, but
That's
who
why I'm
should
saying that you
demand
should know
from?
your spouse.
There
So
is-
if I have a spouse who likes spending, who is good at spending and finishing the money, I will be cautious because I
I
don't want the
get you,
family
ma'am.
to
I get
suffer,
you.
and I'll try to keep some to
Yeah.
so all of this depends on how we have agreed to manage our homes together.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we'll continue with this. We're not going to exhaust it. Like I said, it's a program that has come to stay. There will be a part 2 of this topic today,
Yeah.
Okay.
curbing killings,
Next week.
next week. We want you to join us by calling in from the onset. So prepare your phones, get the credits, and use the numbers you see on the screen. And then please join us next time. We say thank you for being with us today.
Thank
And I
you.
thank the two experts for having the time and the knowledge to actually educate us. And we hope the researches will not stop here and the door knocking will
Sure.
not stop too.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Thank
thank
you.
you, sir, for being with us.
Thank you.
This is
for
Voice
having
TV
us.
Nigeria. Thank you. My name is Mohammed Jinadu.
Yeah. Thank you.